Imagine waking up one morning and noticing something feels wrong. The world is strangely quiet. The air feels colder. And when you open your curtains, you are met not with the soft glow of sunrise, but total darkness. No dawn, no light, just a black sky as if someone simply switched the universe off. Now imagine that this darkness lasts not for a second or a minute, but an entire 24 hours. What would happen if the sun completely disappeared for one full day? At first, we might not panic. After all, many places experience long nights. Think of Norway or Alaska during winter. People might assume it's a strange weather phenomenon or a rare astronomical event. Governments would issue cautious statements. Scientists would scramble for explanations. And social media, of course, would explode with conspiracy theories. Some would joke about the apocalypse. Others would prepare for it. But within minutes, the consequences will begin. The sun isn't just a giant light bulb. It is the reason every living thing on Earth exists. Without it, temperatures would immediately begin to drop. On average, the Earth loses about 0.8 degrees Celsius or about 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit every hour without sunlight. In just the first 3 hours, many regions would already feel winter-like conditions. Beaches would freeze. Warm cities like Dubai, Miami, and Cairo would suddenly feel like icy November mornings. Plants would instantly stop photosynthesis. Though one day wouldn't kill them, it would shock ecosystems. No sunlight means no energy entering the food chain. Birds would stop singing. Nocturnal animals will be confused because although they love the dark, even they can tell something is wrong. After 6 hours, the chaos expands. Power grids will begin to strain. Millions of people will turn on lights, heaters, and emergency systems to compensate for the darkness and dropping temperatures. Solar power completely gone. Countries that rely heavily on renewable solar energy would need emergency backups, and many wouldn't have enough. Wildlife behavior would shift dramatically. Migrating animals that rely on the sun for navigation would get lost. Coral reefs, which are highly sensitive to light cycles, will begin to experience stress. Ocean temperatures, normally stable because of the sun, would start cooling at the surface. And then astronomy would reveal the most shocking part. With no sunlight, the sky would look cosmic, unbelievably clear. The Milky Way would stretch across the sky like a glowing river of stars. Planets, distant galaxies, and even celestial objects, normally invisible to the naked eye, will become visible. It will be breathtaking, but also terrifying. The sun's absence would finally become undeniable. By the 12-hour mark, halfway through the darkness, the world would no longer treat this as a strange event. It would become a global emergency. Temperatures worldwide would now be near freezing. Lakes and shallow water sources would start forming layers of ice. In some regions, ocean surfaces will begin to cool rapidly, threatening marine life. Human psychology would also be affected. We are wired to respond to daylight. Without it, the brain reduces melatonin regulation, increasing fatigue, anxiety, and confusion. Hospitals would report rising cases of panic attacks and depression. Sleep cycles would collapse. Meanwhile, scientists would desperately analyze data. If the sun physically vanished, Earth would notice something else: gravity. The sun's gravity keeps Earth in orbit. If the sun truly ceased to exist, Earth wouldn't just freeze, it would begin drifting into space in a straight line. However, here is the twist. We wouldn't feel that change immediately, because light and gravity both travel at the speed of light. It would take about 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the sun disappears before we notice. But now, nearly half a day has passed, meaning Earth is definitely on a new unpredictable trajectory through space. At the 18-hour mark, temperatures would now be dangerously low. Many areas would reach 10 degrees Celsius to negative degrees Celsius, or 14 degrees Fahrenheit to negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to freeze exposed skin. Wildlife would begin dying. Crops will be damaged. Tropical ecosystems would collapse first, followed by more resilient ones. Cities will be planted in artificial light, not for illumination, but for hope. By hour 23, Earth would be transformed. The darkness would feel ancient and endless. Some communities would gather together, praying or comforting each other. Others would riot, believing the end of days has arrived. And then, 1 hour later, it happens. A faint glow appears on the horizon. Slowly, impossibly, the sun rises again. The world would erupt in a celebration. People would flood the streets. Scientists would give emotional explanations. Religious groups would claim miracles. We would all realize just how fragile life is and how dependent we are on a star sitting 149 million kilometers away. Over the next few days, temperatures would return to normal, nature would recover, but psychologically, humanity would never be the same. Because for one day, one impossible 24-hour window, we experienced life without the sun, and we learned that everything we know, everything we rely on, everything that survives on this planet exists because a giant ball of plasma, 4.6 billion years old, burns in silent space. And perhaps the greatest lesson is this. We live in constant sunlight, yet rarely appreciate it, but remove it even for a single day and we realize that life isn't guaranteed, it is borrowed, it is fragile, and it depends on forces far beyond our control. So the next time you see a sunrise, don't take it for granted, because now you know what life would be like without it.